Hello and welcome to Nintendo Pals Podcast, episode 34. Tonight we talk new Pokemon Snap, a Luigi Lego set, and what we would buy this year on a budget. That and more. Well, hello everyone. I am Andros, and we are joined tonight by I didn't even introduce the we. Well, I'm here with Micah, my regular co-host.
Yep. I'm usually here.
Usually here. And we are joined tonight by super special guests joining us from SwitchCraft and many other podcasting and gaming adventures. Bill, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, we're super excited to have you on, and we've got a lot of members of our community that are pumped to have a collaboration with us here. So, super nice of you to respond and be willing to come on.
I'm always ready to talk about video games, especially when I don't have to do any of the work that comes with podcasting afterwards. Like, I'm just going to show up and talk and not have to do anything afterwards. That seems like a deal.
Yes, yeah, that's what we love being guests on other shows, because I'm like, I don't have to do any. I don't like. Not that I don't like. I don't like having to put together the outline at the beginning. I just have to show up and react to someone else's outline. That's pretty great.
Yeah, and I pretty much do that every week anyways, so.
Me too, even on my show.
Well, Micah, so how are you? How are things going in your neck of the woods?
Pretty good. Not too much going on. I have finally started to hear back about some internships.
Oh,
so
awesome.
That's kind of exciting. Nothing concrete yet.
Yeah, my neck of the woods out here, we're experiencing some nice warm weather, which has been good, and I don't know. It's just been kind of like an odd time where I don't feel like I have a lot to play, but my backlog's actually huge. You know what I'm saying? But we're getting close to my hype game, which is Pokemon Snap. So, Bill, how are things out where you're at?
Well, you say things. Excuse me. You say things about warm weather, and it makes me really, really mad at you because it snowed here 2 days ago. It's April 21st, and it was snowing at my house, and I was very unhappy about that. I had to get out the brush, but luckily I was able to stay inside when after I got home from work, I stayed inside and I played video games.
Yeah, it's a good excuse to go inside. My family makes me go outside right now because it's nice. So I don't get it. But the Switch is portable, so there's that.
Yes.
I remember when they first announced the Switch and they had the commercial with the guy who takes his dog out on a walk. And I was like, who would do that? Who's going to take their games when their dog's going out on a walk and the dog's out playing fetch by himself? I'm doing that now. I turned into that guy. Well,
yeah, my son and I were going someplace. I don't remember where, and he brought his Switch, and he's doing that thing where he's trying to tilt it to get the glare off of the screen as we're driving down the road, which was kind of driving him nuts. But I hope that if we ever do get a Switch Pro, that they have a screen that has higher nits. Yes. Whatever nits are, I know they're like a measure of brightness, but I want something with higher nits.
The screen, because of its like touchscreen nature, is so reflective. It's like a mirror almost. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's funny that you say that because, 20 years ago, we were doing the exact opposite where we're twisting our Game Boys to catch the sun so we could see the screen.
Right. Yeah, I got one right there. There it is.
Yeah. It's funny that we've come full circle. Now we're doing the exact opposite. So... Well, what do you guys say we jump into the first segment of our show, which is Whatcha Playin? And I guess I'll start this week. So, because my list isn't super long, but I picked up 2 games after the Indie World Showcase and have been playing both of those. Finished one, and that is There Is No Game. Man, that was such a blast, such a hoot. They did an excellent job with the writing on that game. Essentially, it's a point and click comedy that is really playing into gaming culture and different types of games, the humor that comes with that. And it if you like kind of fourth wall breaking humor, this game smashes the fourth wall. There is no fourth wall anymore. It's like annihilated. By the end, I'm gonna tag this spoiler here, but by the end, you are quite literally interacting with the developer of the No Game game.
Oh, that sounds cool.
That's pretty
it
cool.
it is pretty interesting. You've jumped from the game universe to his cell phone and are like interacting with. It's very weird, but very cool. Not where I was expecting the game to go at all. So the plot is all over and hilarious. Yeah. Besides that, I also picked up and was so my wife actually picked this game up, and we have the library share. And I was convinced by the community to jump in and try The Longing. Now, this is the one that takes 400 days
Oh.
to finish. And I will admit, when I saw it in the direct, I was like, that looks real boring. But I'm actually enjoying it. I'm actually enjoying it quite a bit. We've got a strong group over on our Discord, all rallied together, playing through that, sharing secrets with each other. It's I don't know how to describe it. It's different than any other game I've played. That's all I can really say. And it's got a very bleak, dark, ominous feel. And it's something I definitely play while doing something else. That's for sure.
So it doesn't require really require your attention all that much?
No, it really doesn't. There are points where it can if you want, but it doesn't have to. If that makes any sense. So you can walk and there will be things to pick up, which he doesn't auto pick up. That's one thing I think I wish the game had, was auto pickup. But at some points I'm just like, it's not worth it. I'm not gonna watch the screen while he does this, because I don't need another piece of coal. I have enough, or I have another piece of paper for crafting or whatever. It's interesting. There's lots of secrets to discover. I mean, there are things that I don't know if I would have figured out if we didn't have community playing. So it's interesting. It's very puzzle oriented, and patience. You gotta have for everything.
As somebody who has absolutely no patience, I have a question.
Yeah.
And I have a question maybe for you or for the community, but has anybody changed the date on their Nintendo Switch to find out what happens at the end? Is that a possibility? Like in Animal Crossing, where you can change the date in order to go celebrate Christmas or whatever?
I saw a review of the game where that it was possible to move the clock forward, and it did affect the game clock. They didn't go to the end; they just went forward like 30 days.
Okay.
So I think it is possible, but there are certain aspects of the game where you'll miss out on some stuff, and I do feel like I need. It never says this in any of the advertising, but you can speed up time in the game. It's all about getting your character his home in a place where he enjoys being there, so time passes faster, and it like literally passes faster. So it doesn't actually take 400 days. I don't think I could do it if it actually took 400 days. I've gone like in the course of 3 days, I did like 10 days. So, and that's pretty early game. I haven't been playing as much as other people in the community, so they have their timer where it's like 1 second real time is like 12 seconds in the game.
See, if they had explained that better in the indie world, I probably would have picked it up because that sounds really intriguing. But the way they described it was just like turn on your Switch every day and log into this. And I'm like, you know what though? I've been playing X game for 3 weeks and I haven't stopped playing that game. I don't want to close that game, like save my game, close that game, go launch
Yeah.
longing to do the thing for the day and then come back, 400 days later, see what happens. Like that was a bad way to explain that game. The way you're talking about it sounds really intriguing to me.
Yeah, it is very interesting. It's like a puzzle like that you set up on the table and you start putting pieces together, like one of those huge ones, like
Yeah.
5,000 pieces. You start putting it together, you go, well, I'm going to come back to this because I don't have time to finish right now. And you can come back a couple weeks later and maybe put some more pieces together. It's kind of like that, and you're slowly getting a bigger picture of the story. Uh, it's very ominous, and it went from ominous to kind of like bizarre, where real fast for us, and we're like, what's happening? And we still don't really know what's going on. So it's cool. Definitely
Yeah,
one I don't write off your initial impression of it. I'm one of those people that if the game doesn't grab me right away, I'm like, I'm probably not gonna go back to it. But someone convinced me to do that for this, and after my second play session, I was like, I think I'm getting it. It's almost like a fast from gosh, dopamine. Like you're like forced to wait. You're quite literally forced to wait for some of those rewards in a way that's kind of refreshing. I don't know if that makes any sense, if I've sold people on this game or not, but yeah.
yeah. I saw how like slow you moved and how long everything took, and I just looked up how it ended. I knew I would not have the patience for this.
Yeah. So that's pretty much all I've been playing. Besides, I have jumped into some Fortnite and also played in a couple different communities some Mario Kart. So busting out Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Still selling well. People are still playing it. We're never gonna get Mario Kart 9, guys. So that's pretty much been it for me since we last talked. The longing, I think it's one that's gonna be. We'll definitely keep people posted on story. If you're interested in playing, come join our Discord community. It's been a fun group there. Well, Bill, I'll toss it over to you. What have you been playing lately?
Well, I'm a bad Nintendo podcaster because I just keep going back to the well of the same game since I got it. And that is Monster Hunter Rise. That game has come. It's so like, okay, Monster Hunter was on like the 3DS. I don't know which one it was. I know people loved it. And I ended up trying the demo and I said, this game is garbage. No, thank you. And send your emails to, andros at gmail.com or something. Don't yell at me. Um, but I was playing. I tried the demo. I said this game's terrible, and then Monster Hunter Rise came out, or no, not Monster Hunter World came out for the PS4, and I said, okay, well, everybody seems to like these games. Maybe I was wrong, and I tried it, and it just did not grab me. Like I enjoyed the time that I spent, but it was probably only about 10 hours before I got sick of it, and then I said, "Oh man, there's something about these games that everybody loves, and I just know eventually it's going to click. So I just keep buying these stupid things." And then Monster Hunter Rise came out, and I was right; it clicked. I finally understand the appeal of that game, and I have sunk so many hours into it. I love it. I'm having so much fun trying all of the different weapons, finding the different, realizing that I need this one thing to drop from this one monster on high rank. So I got to make sure that I go and hunt that guy. But, when I fight that guy, I need better fire resistance. So I guess I better go fight this guy first. And it's like this chain of a to-do list over and over and over that is just so much fun. And so if I have a long time to play, I sit down and I play Monster Hunter Rise, and I love that game. And I will say, it once now that we have the wire bugs, I will never go back to not having wire bugs in a Monster Hunter game because the movement that you feel in that game as you zip around from place to place is just amazing. But then the other game, well, before I get to the other game, have either of you guys been playing Monster Hunter Rise?
So
I've not.
we're bad Nintendo podcasters because we didn't jump on the Monster Hunter train. That was we're on the opposite end of the spectrum. I did try the demo, and it was the most fun I've had with a Monster Hunter demo, but still not enough to make me go, nah, I'm gonna buy it. And it turns out that like I've come to learn recently that Monster Hunter does not demo well. There's
No, Capcom does a terrible job at it. Like they suck. They're
yeah,
bad.
yeah, they well, first off, the game in general as a is bad with tutorials. That's just the nature of Monster Hunter. But then in the demo they drop you in the middle of the story, and it doesn't really capture the whole. Hey, you're harvesting these monsters to make different gear. You're doing these different missions to level up. No, it just drops you into a hunt, and that by itself I guess you could argue is the core gameplay, but not. Like it's missing half the game with the collection.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the way I look at it is I feel like they're just trying to sell this version of Monster Hunter to people who already love Monster Hunter, and they're not trying to sell Monster Hunter to non-Monster Hunter fans. Were you about to say something a second ago, Micah? I think I cut you off.
Well, I was just gonna say, yeah, I keep trying out all the demos, but it just hasn't grabbed me.
So the combat in the Monster Hunter game feels incredibly slow and clunky when you first start out, but now that I'm deeper into it and I found the weapon that clicks with me, because each weapon plays incredibly differently, but now that I found the weapon that clicks for me, I feel like I finally know what all of the chess pieces do on the board. And that's the moment when the game clicks. You're like, oh, okay, so if I use this, then I'll be able to follow up with this, but not with this particular monster, because he always will kind of back up and look over his shoulder right before he does a triple leap forward. And each monster has all of these different tells, and that's really the combat feels awful to somebody who has not played it very much. But once you get over that hump, and it clicks, you're like, okay, I finally understand it. And you're absolutely right, Andros, about the the um the tutorials, because if you want to be good at the game, you have got to go watch like YouTube people
Yeah.
who make like, okay, so this is what you do with the hammer. First you do this, and then by the way, if you hold down this button and push this, then you can charge up your attack, and then when you let go, fly forward and hit them. Like it's crazy that they don't teach you all that stuff. But now that I understand it, now that I'm finally clicked, I will buy every Monster Hunter game that ever comes out for the rest of my life. They're so good. And I've got like 60 hours into Monster Hunter, and it's only been out for what, 3 weeks or so?
Yeah.
It's like
Dang.
that's a lot of time for me to put into one game. I usually get distracted by games after 10 hours, and I'm like, okay, well, I played this for 10 hours, let me go buy something else.
That's wild. It's definitely been the one that I've been the most tempted to get, but I have been we're hinting towards a question in our community corner, but I've been trying to budget for some other titles that are coming out.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but yeah. Anything else you got? You said that that's what you're playing when you got time. How about when you don't have a lot of time? Are you fitting something shorter in?
Pac-Man 99. I love that game. It is
Nice.
addictive and fast and absolutely crazy, and I adore it, and I have not won even once.
Oh, I was about to ask how many wins you have. I have not been able to win. I've gotten fourth place like 6 times, and I'm like, ugh,
I
it's
got you beat. I got third once.
ugh,
I
yeah.
got second place 4 times before I got my first win.
Oh, we got a
Oh,
winner here.
okay,
And
Wow.
okay.
then I haven't played since.
I don't like
Uh,
Micah anymore. Can we get somebody else on here?
Oh,
Yeah,
to be fair, that was earlier today. So
this is I saw you online earlier today. I was like, oh, it looks like he's finally giving this game a try. And of course, he gets his win his first day. This is Micah. This is who I am friends with.
I mean, it took me like a whole hour, guys. So I put forth a lot of time and effort to get that win.
Oh man, yeah. I'm a little jealous. I feel like I tried really hard on multiple sessions. I wasn't playing it in short bursts. I was like sitting for an hour. I'm like, I'm gonna get a win. Yeah.
That
Pac-Man.
game is amazing.
It is pretty good. I will say that when I first saw it, I was like, this is a shoehorned 99 game. I was like, this is like they're just slapping 99 on everything now. But it's done very well. It's done very well.
Can I ask a question for your community for them to figure out an answer?
Oh yeah.
Okay. What old retro game would you 99?
Ooh, we did. Mike and I talked about this in an old episode. Are you still set on Ice Climber 99, Mike?
Oh yeah, I'm still set on Ice Climbers 99 for sure.
Are you a masochist? That game is terrible.
I just want to be climbing a mountain with 99 people. Just imagine the chaos.
Honestly, I mean, I don't want to play that, but it sounds like a good game.
Yes. Well, yeah. Community, definitely hit us up. Leave a comment if you're watching it on YouTube, or hit us up on Discord, Twitter. What would you like to see 99? Awesome. Anything else you want to highlight in your play times, Bill?
Nothing new. Because of COVID, I wasn't able to see my daughter for like a year. She is like, she's in her 20s and lives an hour away, and we were trying to stay separated, but she got her shot and came home, and we played Jackbox, which if you don't have Jackbox, get Jackbox on your Switch. It's a fantastic game to play with people around. It's just so absolutely fun. So one of the Jackboxes, I don't know which one because I got like 5 of them.
Yes, those are all. I think they're all pretty pickup worthy. This might not be the latest one anymore. I think they're due for another one soon. But Jackbox 7, really good.
Ooh, there's a game that nobody knows about because it's a lot like Jackbox, but nobody plays it. It's called Use Your Words. Really fantastic, similar style game.
All right,
and it's on the Switch.
We'll have to check that one out. Because I'm a big fan of Jackbox. Love all those games.
Yeah, I just remember one of the last times I played Jackbox. I guess it was actually a while ago, but someone thought I was most likely to be a vampire because I seemed like I'd be the most okay with killing people.
That's a good first impression.
Yeah, this is a great game to play as an icebreaker with people you just meeting. You can find out what they really think about you.
Wow, yeah. That's awesome. That's the game I bust out for non-gamers. It's like a video game apples to apples kind of thing. If you're familiar with board gaming terminology, apples to apples is like the beginner sport, but Jackbox is actually fun. I might throw that out. Apples to apples I don't have a blast with, but awesome. Well, Micah, what have you been playing lately?
Well, like I mentioned a little bit ago, played some Pac-Man 99. Had fun with that. I might actually just never play it again now that I had my win. I'm at my peak. Besides that, I got back into some Mario Maker 2 recently. Some people in our community made a couple levels, and there was a challenge to get the fastest time, which I believe I still holds at the time of this recording.
I did take it from him for about 10 minutes.
Yeah,
Micah's
well, yeah,
competitive nature is an unstoppable force, and we should harness it to somehow reach fame and monetization for our show. I'm pretty sure if we somehow harnessed that, we'd be just doing so well.
Yeah, I wish I could harness it to just become more productive in my life in general.
Micah, I'm going to get way more done than you today. Take that.
Oh.
Good Good luck.
Nice.
Not that you'll need it, but um. So yeah, that's been pretty good. Played a few rounds of Fortnite, and the big game that I've been playing is actually Exit the Gungeon, which I got a while ago. Played it for a little bit and decided it wasn't as good as Enter the Gungeon, and then forgot I had it. And then someone mentioned it at some point in this last week, and I started playing again, and it is definitely better than I remembered. It's the runs are a little shorter, so it can be nice to hop on, do a couple runs, 30 minutes or so, but still not quite as good as Enter the Gungeon.
Yeah, Enter the Gungeon's a great game. It's hard. I can see why it was difficult to compete, and that one was designed for mobile. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I think when it first came out, it was on Apple Arcade, right?
yep,
Yeah.
Apple Arcade exclusive. So some sacrifice was made, I'm sure, to make it more optimal there. Well, nice. Well, that is what we have been playing. So lots of Pac-Man 99. Seems like that one's kind of taken the king of 99 game spot. You know, you got Tetris 99 and Mario 35, which died, so it can't have the king
Yeah.
spot anymore. All right. Well, let's move on to the next segment of our show then, and that is the Nintendo news. So I actually have quite a bit to talk about in our news segment this week, which so we'll stop me at any point if you want to go more in depth on some of these, but I think some of these we'll go over semi quickly. But this one's kind of a deep dive. I watched not the latest trailer of Pokemon Snap, but the one right before, and gleaned some details from watching that. I saw at least 6 confirmed levels, though some of those are not named yet. There was a swamp-like area that looked kind of haunted, had like stereotypical haunted trees with fog, and that was the first time I'd seen that in a trailer. Ocean, beach, forest, desert, jungle. So that with this mystery swamp level, there's 6 confirmed levels, which is cool because along with those 6 confirmed levels, we know that there's going to be day-night cycle and also leveling up that will make it so the level is different the higher rank you are as a photographer. So a lot more variety than Game 1, which I think had 8 levels back on the N64, and there was no day-night cycle or alternate paths or anything like that. So it's cool stuff. I'm excited. It sounds like there's going to be a lot more content than the original game had, which I think you could clear up in like 10 or 20 hours. 20 would be like stretching it hardcore.
Yeah, if you're going for the perfect picture with like every Pokemon.
Yeah, yeah. Micah, I know you're excited for this game. Have the trailers convinced you to pick up?
Probably. I'll probably wait until like the day after just in case it just gets terrible reviews, which I don't see happening.
It
But so
should
far
be getting
I'll be
reviewed.
getting it.
It should be getting reviewed by critics slightly early, so you might have that
True.
advantage. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm still definitely a day one purchase for me. So yeah, I'm excited for how it looks. I think there's been a lot of I've heard a lot of talk that there's basically 2 camps on this game, and it's yes, hooray, it's back, and I don't understand this game.
Yeah.
I don't get
Why?
why it's exciting, and
Hey, that's me.
I might pass.
I'm not really gonna pass. I just haven't decided yet because I have no nostalgia for the original. But I will say the graphics look really good. It seems like it has a compelling gameplay loop that you would probably have a lot of replay value in if you wanted to, which that's always good. And I like all this like the stuff that you're talking about where there's a day night cycle. So maybe if you want to get that perfect picture of whatever mon, I don't know how they name them, I can't remember, then that sounds really cool. But like for me, I'm just not really excited for it. But you know what really will tell me if I'm gonna get excited for it is if I watch a stream of somebody playing it, because I wasn't gonna get Let's Go Pikachu when that first came out. Like I saw it and I was like, this looks stupid. I don't care. This looks dumb. I gotta throw the thing. It's really, come on, Nintendo. Give me the real one with where you got to do all the regular Pokemon stuff where you pick the button, the fights. And I thought that looked terrible. And then I saw somebody playing it, like they were doing like a 24-hour live stream or something. And I turned it on and I looked and I was like, okay, I'm gonna buy this game. It convinced me right away. So I'm gonna check it out when it comes out. I'll look, and if it looks compelling, then I'll probably end up picking it up, because if for no other reason, it just looks like a good time waster. It doesn't require, I don't know if it requires a ridiculous amount of attention or not, but it might be something that's good to play while you're watching a show.
Yeah. I don't know. I think you can play that way for sure. That's one nice thing about Pokemon Snap, is that you can get really into it on like trying to get like perfect pictures, or you can just play it more casually. Like I'm just going to get a picture of each Pokemon to complete my photo decks. Yeah, that's I definitely have nostalgia goggles that are like this thick, like hardcore thick goggles
Oh, yeah.
for Pokemon Snap. I loved the N64 game. And so this is a nostalgia fueled purchase, but I think that the gameplay is actually good, objectively. Are you a fan of on rail shooters at all, Bill? Like
I'm
we've got
like Area 51, but most of the audience is probably like, "What's that?" Because I'm really old. But like that kind of on rail shooter, hell yeah. Um, this doesn't seem like, I don't know. Am I wrong? Is this the same kind of thing, or is
I'd say that this
Uh,
is an on rail shooter. It's because you do have to aim in order to get your targets. But it's Nintendo shooter.
yeah,
You're taking
yeah?
at least that's
pictures.
what we say to convince people to get it.
Well,
No, we're
see
not. We're
now,
not lying. It's definitely you're stuck
Yeah,
on the track, and you have to turn in
yeah,
order to
it definitely is
shoot.
some on-rail shooter
And you
mechanics
got to think like
without murder.
it takes, in my mind, it takes the same kind of muscle memory as I want to get a headshot in Halo, to I got to get this Pokemon centered, like perfectly centered in film, facing me. So it takes that same kind of like aim shoot. But I'd say at its core, it's that's the gameplay loop. But then you have puzzle solving, with trying to go, okay, well, if I interact with this bush in this way, throw an apple at this Pokemon, lead it over here, will it do something different? Will these two Pokemon interact? There was a point where I threw an apple at a Magmar and a Charmander, and they fought over the apple. And the one blasted the other, and it made him evolve into the next thing, so I could get a picture of that thing. And those are things I wouldn't have found unless I was like tossing apples at Pokemon. Kind of like,
that sounds really cool. Like, but I don't feel like anything in the videos that they've shown is really showing off that kind of thing, and that sounds actually compelling to me.
it's probably the same. I can definitely see that this has got the same issue as Monster Hunter, in that it seems to be targeting people that already played the first game. Whereas Monster Hunter Rise was definitely like marketed towards Monster Hunter fans. Uh,
Yeah, and when I had my N64, I played Zelda and Mario and Cal Ripken's baseball or something, and that was pretty much it. Like those were and the one where you got to drive a car through buildings in order to get the nuclear bomb to not kill everybody. I don't remember what that game was called, but it was awesome.
I haven't
Blast
heard of
No
that.
Core.
idea.
What was it called?
Blast Core. I just
Blast Corp.
remembered.
Oh yeah, okay. I've heard of that. I never played that one. So that one's a. It looked interesting. Yeah. So this is one. If you're on the fence, yeah, definitely check out. Well, I actually plan to stream this one, I think. So check us out there and see if it's something you like. I think a demo would really help for this game, especially for people that are going to be new to the series. Because the first one came out like 20 years ago. Like, they can't just be trying to sell this to the 20-something-year-olds that that played this as kids and now have money and can buy this. I mean, they want to get young a new young audience as well, and they want to capture some of their fans of all ages, right? Like, I don't see why. Yeah, I don't know. They're probably banking hard on this is Pokemon, so it'll sell,
Yeah.
which is
I mean,
something
there
they
will be
can.
some people that buy it just because it's Pokemon. So
I mean, people bought Sword and Shield. I mean, it's not the best Pokemon game. This looks a lot better than Sword and Shield, graphically, anyway.
Are there two versions of this?
No, nope.
so
What's
Not
up with
yet.
that? They're just phoning it in. They're not going to give us two things to buy.
I'm okay
I
with
for
it.
one am glad. Yeah.
Just kidding.
Yes.
Pokemon Snap Nikon and Pokemon Snap Sony.
Yeah, and then a year later they come up with the like combined version.
Canon.
Did you guys see, speaking of phone companies, this is another news item. I have it on the tail end, added late to the notes. Fujifilm is making a Pokemon printer for smartphones. So it's a smartphone printer. This one will have a Pikachu case that you can put onto it in honor of Pokemon Snap. So you can Polaroid-esque print your Pokemon Snap photos. This is a weird world we're in, man, where we're selling Polaroid printers and they're marketing it with Pokemon Snap. So, and they also showed some Animal Crossing photos, and I just thought this was just like, whoa, what alternate universe have I stepped in? Yeah, it's coming back. Yeah.
And you know what? I got an idea. This is what they should have done. Sell a Polaroid camera, right? Just I have one of those. My wife bought one, and we use it every once in a while because it's cool. Like, we take pictures when we go places, and then we have the little tiny picture of us. It comes out, it's like that big. It's like postage stamp sized. But what they should do is sell a Pokemon themed camera, and when you just take a picture, it randomly puts a Pokemon in the picture.
That would be
because
pretty
they would
sweet.
sell so much film.
Yeah, they would. That would be really cool. And it could be like marketed as like a kids thing, like kids first camera, where it has the ability to like do AR Pokemon editions. That's a great idea.
That one's free, Polaroid.
Yeah, there you go, Polaroid. So, moving out of physical Pokemon merch and into some other weird physical-esque toy type stuff, we have a Lego Luigi set has been announced. And this came... So first off, I just got to say it's weird that we're in an era where Legos get firmware updates. I don't know how I feel about that. But Mario got a firmware update and was calling out for Luigi and it was kind of a tease at, hey, we're about to announce a Luigi Lego set, and that has since been announced. The Luigi and Boom Boom set, where a little adventure course, and they interact together, so you can have player 1 and player 2.
That's cool.
Yeah. Stay tuned for next year when the Wario Lincoln Log gets the Waluigi update. That's my bad dad joke for the night.
You're gonna stick to just one? Usually, you.
Yeah, usually. So that's cool. Any you guys have any thoughts on the Lego Luigi?
About time.
That's a good thought. Player 2, all the little brothers and little sisters in the world are excited to have their own Lego guy to play with. They don't have to take turns with Big Brother anymore. You know, where it's 2 turns for Big Brother, 1 turn for little brother kind of deal.
Yeah, I like Luigi better than Mario, and like he's always been the one that appeals to me more for for no particular reason. They don't really have all that different a personality, you know. They don't say anything except for Luigi's a little more timid, but I always like Luigi's design a little bit more. But as far as the Legos, where was this, 6, 7 years ago when my son was much younger? Because now he doesn't play with Lego. Like, these are definitely Legos that are aimed at very young children. And I'm not judging you if you're an adult playing with them, because Legos are fun. I just don't want to have a bunch of plastic stuff all over the place. But like, man, my son and I would have had so much fun with this when he was younger, and I feel like we got robbed because this
Yeah,
thing is cool.
I would have loved this as a kid. I had these like probably the very first Duplo, like the big huge like that were ever made. That's like, probably like the first set. And yeah, these are very cool. My kids are slightly too young, I'd say, to enjoy these now, and they're not super into Lego yet. But once they do, this will be one on our radar to get for like Christmas.
Yeah, and in a few years they'll be like $3 less or something probably. So,
Yeah, yeah, that
or
is the
it'll
other
become
thing.
a collector's item.
Legos are so pricey. I'm looking forward to and hopeful for a Lego Zelda set. That is the smaller bricks and geared more towards an older audience. Maybe you get to build Hyrule Castle. That would be very cool.
That would be cool. My daughter collects Legos. We went to her apartment, and she had Legos all over the place. It was really cool. So she had like a Lego Harley Davidson and stuff, and it was like so many pieces, and I was like, that is really really cool. And yes, that would be awesome to have, like, where you could build like the Master Sword sitting in
Oh
a piece of
Yeah,
stone or whatever. Like, that would be friggin' rad.
that would be, or at least maybe they add a Zelda um, map to the NES Lego set. You could change that out for a.
Oh yeah.
That would be pretty sweet. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful, but it's weird that they're doing Luigi now. This feels late. This feels too late. You were saying, where was this 10, 15 years ago? I'm saying, like, where was this when Mario came out? Like, it shouldn't have been, like, the anniversary's over. They killed Mario. He's gone. I guess they're like, well, now is a good time to throw out Luigi. Yeah. So that's Luigi Lego. So, speaking of Mario, we have Mario Maker 2 is currently doing its last Ninja speedrun event, as announced by Nintendo. It's a Bowser's Castle theme, and it goes through April 27th. It's interesting that this is the last one. Are they ending support for Mario Maker 2? I mean, I know they're not going to end support for it, but that they're not doing new events anymore, where I wonder what that means. So they're going to be going to something else.
Well, I mean, it came out in 2019, so they've been supporting it, adding new stuff for it for 2 years now. I think it's probably plenty. You can't expect them to support it forever.
It felt like well, I don't know what kind of events were done for Mario Maker 1. So maybe you're right, and it's kind of like Splatfest. It just comes to an end even long before there's a sequel to, because we don't have Splatoon 3 coming for not till
another
next
year.
year. And I believe they've done the last Splatfest. They did several, oh, just kidding, one more. But but I
Yeah,
think
they
they've
do
done
keep
that.
recycling those. Do you think they'll recycle the Ninja speedruns? Like, they'll bring it back and be like, "Hey, here's one we did last year. Can you beat your old score or whatever?"
I think that would be cool. I think they should, because that requires like super minimal effort
Mhm.
to just recycle an old Ninja speed run, maybe add it to the old scores.
I mean,
Yeah,
they're recycling old videos for their YouTube page, so.
yeah. People aren't happy about that. I guess we can talk a little bit about they keep re-uploading and re-updating the Switch Online video, and every time it gets updated, people joke that it's to clear the dislikes on it, but they just come back stronger than ever. I think it has like 67,000 thumbs down, something like that. Might be way more at this point. But it's funny that they just post the same video again, essentially. They add some new games to it. Yeah, I don't know. Whoever's on the content creator team is saving some time, I'd say. And then I guess speaking of advertisements on their YouTube, they did just announce the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles coming to the States. I guess, was that done through YouTube? I think that was done through a Twitter announcement. And these are 2 games that were previously Japan exclusive. And I just have to highlight my favorite part of the trailer is that in order to avoid, I'm assuming in order to avoid copyright claims, they named the detective character Herlock Sholmes as my favorite. Like, that should be coined as like a staple detective name from now on. Herlock Sholmes. This looks interesting to me. It takes place in like Victorian era Japan, and it looked like a really cool adaptation of Ace Attorney. I have not played an Ace Attorney game before, so this might be where I jump in on the prequels, which kind of makes sense, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I also haven't played any, and I'm probably not going to be picking them up, I guess. Cool that they're coming over.
Yes. It's done by
Hope for Mother
the
3.
Yeah, I hope for Mother 3. Yeah.
And Reggie.
Yeah. Yes. Um So, in addition to that game, we also got an announcement of Earthblade. I thought I'd highlight this one because, Micah, you've been playing Celeste recently. It's from the makers of Celeste. And they did a very
Great
weird reveal where it was like a vibe trailer, not an actual trailer. And because it's like
Like
super.
Metroid Prime 4 trailer, practically. Just a
It's
little more.
it's super early in development, you can tell. So I'm a little sad. I almost wish that we just didn't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of more fun to me to get a surprise. Hey, this is here, rather than have it just in the back of our minds, like Metroid Prime 4. Like, when's it coming? I don't like when a game is announced way too early, and you just constantly hope for it to come up.
Yeah, I saw something that said Nintendo hasn't mentioned Metroid Prime 4 for 800 days.
Yes, it's.
That just made me sad.
Well, let's we can talk a little bit about Metroid Prime 4. I skipped over this news item here. Retro hired another big resumed artist. You talked about this in your last SwitchCraft, right? Right, Bill? Chad Orr was hired.
Yeah, he works in a bunch of movies doing as an animator, as well as like he's in charge of like the artificial, like the CGI lighting of stuff. So it's cool to have somebody who obviously is ridiculously talented working on a game like Metroid Prime 4. Oh, I'm just so tired of waiting. I mean, you made the joke about Nintendo announcing it way too soon, and I agree that they did, but I feel like they really didn't have a choice. They they had just announced it was the first E3 since the Switch came out. It was the first one, and they were talking about a Metroid game for the 3DS. If they didn't say, "Hey, we're making Metroid Prime 4 for this," oh my God, they would have been eviscerated. They would have been hit with the Switches. Even Nintendo doesn't believe in the Switch. They're making Metroid Prime games or Metroid games for the 3DS instead. So I feel like they had no choice but to announce it. But then when they had that guy in the white room say, "Sorry, we are not going to get it done. We're going to start over." Oh, it's just so disappointing. I loved Metroid Prime, and I loved Metroid Prime. I loved all the ones that I played. I can't remember which ones I did and didn't. They were great. I didn't have money for all of them at the time. I cannot wait to play Metroid Prime 4, but I'm afraid we're going to wait forever.
Yeah, right there with you.
Yeah.
I'm real hopeful this E3 the one where they just shadow drop it.
It's an updated a trailer title.
Oh my gosh, I would
Metroid Prime
die.
4 New Deluxe.
The
Untitled.
Yes, yeah. There's the thing about it though is like in the grand scheme of sales, like Metroid does well, but it isn't Mario and it isn't Zelda, and I think for that reason, it's not given well. We know it's not given as much love as some of the bigger pillars in the Nintendo. I base everything in my mind, like how they treat their IP, on the Smash Bros. Ultimate cover art. So you got Mario right there in the front, and Link, and then you got like a Pikachu that's pretty big, Splatoon, and then in the background, right, like back in the distance, you can see Samus, you can see Kirby,
4 pixels.
and then I don't even think F-Zero's on there. I don't think Captain Falcon's on the cover. That's it. No, I kid, but it's something I'm hopeful we see more about it. It's I now live in fear, like Bill was saying. I live in fear of a direct with a man in a suit appears in an empty room. That isn't the red
Nothing
background.
good can happen.
That isn't the red background. Yeah, if it's a dark room, like it's an gosh, I can never pronounce his name. Ija and Anuma telling us that Breath of the Wild 2 is not ready yet. or
We're starting from scratch.
oh
I got a
man,
question for you guys.
we were so
Oh
scared.
my god! Don't even joke. Don't even joke about that, man.
I've mentioned that would be crushing, but I would also laugh so hard. If
No,
that
no,
happened.
you would be the most hated man on the internet. If you did that. If you just
I
laughed.
mean, just so you could truly understand my pain when that happened with Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you guys each a question. I'll start with Micah because I think I know the answer. If you could have Metroid Prime 4 or Breath of the Wild 2 tomorrow, what would you pick?
I gotta go with Metroid Prime 4.
Oh my
'Cause,
gosh, no.
I mean, I feel
That's
like
the wrong answer.
no, because I know Breath of the Wild 2 is coming at some point, but Metroid Prime 4, I feel like next year they're just gonna come back on and be like, you know what? I'm sorry, this isn't working out. We're starting from scratch again. Like my greatest fear.
It's a fear that it won't come at all. Versus
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild 2, we're like, okay, that has to come. They can't
I know
cancel
that's
that.
coming at some point, and it shouldn't be too long. But
Yeah.
I just waited too long for Metroid Prime 4.
I 100% would pick Breath of the Wild 2. That's
All
my
right.
answer, Bill. I was
Yeah,
not
but
doing
Andrew
anything.
hasn't even played through the original Metroid Prime, so
That is true. That is true. I am excited for Metroid Prime 4, and it is one I will be picking up for sure. I am excited to play the game. I think it's going to be great on Switch, especially with all these big names they're hiring. Like these are talented folks. It's almost a little scary that people keep reporting on these people getting hired, because it's really raising the bar every time, and we're like, well, it's been more days. They're hiring better people.
Well, it also means that they're still hiring new people. How much do they have done?
yeah, that's what scares
Yeah,
me.
yeah. It is worrying. Hopefully they just hired him in to come clean up. I mean, lighting. He's a lighting artist. Uh, that's a lot. That is post. It can be a post work type deal.
I can't pretend to know anything about that, so I'll just trust you.
Yeah.
Yeah, what really worried me when they were trying to get someone for like boss fight AI. I think it took a while for them to build that position. I'm assuming it's been filled by now. I actually don't know for sure, but
They're just not going to have
but like that seems like
it.
something that you should get pretty early.
No, there are no boss fights in this Metroid Prime game. You are on a rail, and you have to take pictures of the Metroids.
Metroid Prime.
And you
Snap.
gotta scan them as you go by.
Yeah, right. You got to bring up the visor. You got to use the right version of the visor, and you got to scan the correct pirate.
I mean,
Space
jokes
pirate.
aside, Micah would buy that day one as well.
I
mean,
would buy that.
he would be all over that game. And then exciting news for Bill, our Monster Hunter friend here with us today, is April 27th. They're doing a Monster Hunter presentation where they're going to give more info on the DLC, which comes out, I believe, the 30th, same day as Pokemon Snap. And another look at Monster Hunter Stories 2, which I don't know if we had talked about this being dated, but it's coming in July. July is looking to be a pretty heavy month. Which is interesting. I'm actually pretty excited for Monster Hunter Stories 2. It looks really good. It appealed to me in the trailers a lot more than Rise. So it looks cool. Looks like Pokemon with Monster Hunter monsters. Can't get much better.
Yeah, I think it looks kind of fun, but it's not for me. I can't hit them with a giant hammer. I'm not interested.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why you're not into Pokemon Snap. Now we know.
What you're saying is it's like the animal cruelty aspect of Monster Hunter that you enjoy so much.
You know, you joke about that, Micah, but when you're playing Monster Hunter, you are constantly this game. You can't tell, is this game made to be incredibly violent or incredibly cute at the same time? Because these monsters, some of them are adorable. Like you fight a giant rabbit that throws snowballs at you. It's adorable. So like they are such cute monsters, and then you beat them with a giant hammer, and after they're dead you cut parts off of their corpse with a knife
so that you can wear it. That
you can wear it like a maniac.
Yes.
The question is, do you at least feel a little guilty after doing that, or
It depends on how hard the fight was, because if they if they KO'd me twice, because when you're playing you can get KO'd twice, and then if you get KO'd the third time you're done. If they KO'd me twice, then we're not friends anymore. It's not just a game anymore. Now you're going down, monster. You know, you got to die, and it's going to be a horrible death. I'm going to make sure that I get you knocked down, and when you're laying there on the side, you just hit them on the face or with a hammer over and over and over again. It's very satisfying.
but if you just absolutely massacre them, then you feel a little bad.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, especially if it's like the first time that you fought him, you're like, oh, he wasn't all that tough. Maybe I'm a bad guy.
It's kind of a weird game. It's one of those ones where you don't really question your character's morals because it's like, it's just a boss fight rush game. So,
yes, yeah. I would agree with that.
So that wraps up our news section. And yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. Let us know what you think of the Pokemon printer and the Luigi Lego set. So let's move over to out of the realm of news and into the realm of rumor. The rumor mill. So there's a lot floating around. A lot of people getting super hyped for something going on with Xbox and Nintendo. Microsoft has had the Nintendo Switch appearing in backgrounds of several videos, Xbox official videos, and people love to look at stuff in the background. In fact, I'm looking at Bill's background right now, and I'm starting to think that the next Pac-Man 99 skin is actually going to be Bill's face, because he's got Pac-Man back there. Yeah, we know. We know.
Look.
I joke and kid, but it is funny and interesting that their marketing is making a point to say, hey, we like the Switch. So I want to hear what
people are reading into it just a little bit too much.
I mean, but would you as Xbox put on purpose put a Nintendo Switch in the background of your presentation? They had like this tiny shelf. They had a Switch, like a hat, like a merch hat, and an Xbox, and that's all they had in the background of this presentation. It's like you got three things back there, and the one thing you pick stands out first off because they didn't order the gray one. They ordered the red and blue Joy-Con one, and it's on a green background. Do you
But
think that's
it's a ploy to get Nintendo fans to watch their presentation.
Ooh, so Mike is
I
in.
can't
It's a big
I
brain
can't tell
move.
if Mike is joking or not, but I agree with him.
I mean, I'm joking a teensy bit, but I'm also not joking
We're
because
getting tinfoil hat
I
here,
mean,
guys.
I don't really think it means anything. I just think it's a marketing scheme.
Can Nintendo get upset at them for doing that?
I don't
I
think
mean,
so.
you mean legally?
Yeah.
I don't
Like,
think
hey,
so.
you guys are teasing stuff that isn't real.
Well, I mean, they can't get mad at me for having this sitting behind me when I'm talking about video games. So they can't legally get mad at Microsoft for having this sitting behind them when they're talking about video games.
Yeah, I guess it's true, but I mean, they are Microsoft versus you're just
Pathetic.
you. Yeah. You in your house. But not to discount. Bill has quite an awesome setup and big following, but maybe not Microsoft level.
No, probably not.
Just a little less.
Not yet. Not yet. Yeah.
Nobody knows who I am. Yeah, I mean, look, the thing that everybody keeps coming back to is the fact that Microsoft is going to do streaming xCloud on devices, and it's coming to iOS. It's coming to browsers. Um, can you get that on the Switch? And I think, and I talked about this a lot in depth on my show recently, but the long and the short of it is that if I were Microsoft, I would say, hell yes, I'm going to get Game Pass. Sorry if that was too strong a language. But I would say, yes, I want to have Game Pass on the Switch because that means that there's a lot of people who will only buy a Nintendo Switch. They won't buy anything else because Nintendo fans are very loyal. And now I can suddenly monetize those people who otherwise are unmonetizable. And if I'm Nintendo, this is not what I think Nintendo will do, but if I'm Nintendo, yes, I want Game Pass on the Switch because there's going to be a whole bunch of people who have Microsoft stuff and they can't take it with them when they go. And so, yeah, I would do that. Do I think Nintendo will do that? No. I think Nintendo would say, absolutely not. You are not putting those other games on our platform. But you know what? I would love to be wrong.
I am in agreement. I do not buy into the hype of xCloud or Game Pass being on Switch. I don't know how they would manage that, seeing as they are also trying to sell those games on the eShop. A lot of the titles that would be coming to Game Pass, but I guess Xbox does that on their platform. They sell the games, and you can get them on Game Pass. But I feel like it takes a hit. Like you buy Game Pass, you're losing out on a market that would be purchasing the game instead.
Yeah, but what if you said, okay, you can be on the Nintendo Switch, but if somebody subscribes to, I don't know how money works, but if somebody subscribes to it using the Nintendo Switch, we get a cut of the profit.
Yeah, it could be financially beneficial for both.
Oh, I think it would
For sure,
absolutely be
for sure.
financially beneficial for both. I just think Nintendo is too closed-minded to do it.
Yeah.
And that's not a dig at Nintendo. That's just who they are. They've always been like that.
I also think it's a protection of the integrity of the platform, which is something that is why they've been closed-minded on stuff in the past, where it's like we're not going to loan out our IP. They want control, and if they are letting a streaming service onto the platform, they no longer are in control of the platform. But at the same time, the eShop is flooded with quite a bit of junk, so I don't know what argument I'm trying to make here.
Right, this is one of those arguments where you could play devil's advocate for hours because you could just go back and forth so many times, which is why it's so fun to talk about.
Yeah. Uh, I will say, if there is anything going on, I still think it's Master Chief for Smash. It's going to be something like that, a small collaboration. Maybe it's we're putting this exclusive game from Xbox onto Switch. Maybe Master Chief Collection. So something like that. Not our whole service is coming on to the platform. It would be really cool. I think a big win in the gaming industry to see them team up like that. But we could also just be, it could all just be a tease, like Micah said. You know, the reason they didn't put the PlayStation back there was because it didn't fit on the shelf. That was why.
Do either of you guys have a PS5?
I do
No,
not.
no, we're Nintendo onlys. We
Oh, okay.
we're those crazy loyal people you were talking about earlier that only buy the one. I We have lots of friends that have PlayStations. Quite a big group in our community also is kind of does the duel between PlayStation and Nintendo. Usually everybody has two, you know, and then the real fortunate have all three. But
So my son asked for a PlayStation for Christmas. It took me until April to get it for him. It's here now. That thing is stupidly big. It is an eyesore under my like. It is so ugly. I hate the way it looks.
I don't like the look of it. The controllers are pretty nice.
Yeah, the controller feels great, but man, that thing is ugly. It looks cool, like when you're looking at a video of it or something. But when it's in your house, man, I just wish I could hide it someplace.
yeah, you cut out a hole in the wall and put it in the behind the wall.
Not a square hole. It's like some other weird shape.
Yeah, it's like curvy square. That's yeah. I joke. I just think it's you know, the Switch is easy to put up on a shelf. That's why they put it in both those videos. Well, that's I think we've talked in circles with Xbox. We don't know anything about Xbox. Like you said, we're Nintendo only people. I don't know what Game Pass is. So let's talk more Nintendo. Another rumor I saw was Sonic Colors and other Sonic Wii games are rumored to be getting ported to the Switch. Well, I think this is an interesting choice. There's been a lot of ports of Wii U titles, but Sonic Colors is a Wii game. So it's one that's better received than a lot of modern Sonic. So I don't know. I don't know what the strategy there is. What are you guys' thoughts?
I just want Sonic Adventure.
Sonic Adventure? All right.
I just want Sonic Mania 2.
Or
DLC for Sonic Mania because I'm a 2D Sonic guy. 3D Sonic is inherently bad.
Yeah, I haven't enjoyed just about any of the 3D Sonic games I've played. So.
Like
the problem
any
with
of
Sonic
them,
is
or
go ahead.
Well, the only like 3D Sonic game that I actually enjoyed was Sonic
3D.
Adventures.
I heard I haven't enjoyed any of the 3 Sonic games I've played. Like you just hated Sonic.
Oh, no. I mean, I played the first 3 back in the day. Those were a blast.
Yeah, that's why Sonic Mania is so good, because it's those.
Yeah.
Yeah, Christian Whitehead, he did a fantastic job with his team to bring Sonic Mania to life. It really dips into everything that made the originals great. The problem about Sonic that makes it not translate to 3D is because the whole concept of the character is all based around how fast you go. And when you are in a 3D game and you're moving that fast, you very quickly can't control it very well. So the solution that they go with is to take control away from you so that they can show you really cool fast things. But to me, that's not fun. And so I just want to stick with Sonic is a 2D game as far as I'm concerned. And if anybody's mad about it, send an email to Micah@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Feel free.
Something tells me you don't have that domain.
That is wow. No, that is definitely my email.
Yeah.
We're already getting all of the Monster Hunter fans coming down at Nintendo Pals podcast at gmail.com. Feel free to send those over, but it was all Micah. So yeah.
Yeah, all of our guests have to play Monster Hunter Rise now since neither of us do.
It's a requirement that I'm gonna start. Well, that does it for the rumor mill. So let's move over to some community questions in the community corner. And we have quite a load of questions here, and there's some really fun topics in here. And then we have some questions specifically for you, Bill. So
Okay.
I saved those for the end, so you can plug away at your stuff as well. So our first question comes from LPD on Discord. He says, if you knew you could only get a few games for the rest of 2021 on the Switch, what would they be? Now, to give some context, he did give some context to this. He's like, think about when you were a kid. Think about when you were maybe a teenager, and you could only get a few games. You didn't have the budget to get everything that comes out on Switch, every big title. When you were a kid, your parents got you a game for your birthday. They got you a game for random holiday, and then a game for Christmas. Yeah, so you got like 3 to 5 games in a year, maybe. So
now, are we talking about games that are coming out in 2021 or games like you're getting, it doesn't matter when they came out?
He's talking about for the rest of 2021. And he says, if we're feeling spicy, we can take into consideration what we've already purchased so far this year into your account for what you would be saving up for Q3 and Q4.
Okay.
So I gave this some thought. I have already purchased this year the Super Mario 3D World, and I bought a couple indie titles. Like I said, the Longing and There Is No Game. I'm trying to think what other games I purchased this year. I did purchase Valheim. Oh, Bill, I wanted to talk with you about Valheim. I know you've been playing that. You're the only podcaster that I listen to besides us that's been playing Valheim.
That's amazing.
Yes. Well, after this question, we should. I want to get your experience on Valheim.
Okay.
So with that in mind, my other big ticket game, I think it's going to be Pokemon Snap. And then I think I probably, if I was limited, I probably would pass on Mario Golf, which some might consider the big ticket as a replacer for like Pokemon Snap, maybe. And then I would be waiting for whatever the big holiday release is. It's not going to be the Pokemon Shiny Pearl, Brilliant Diamond. It's going to be, I'm still hopeful it's Breath of the Wild 2. So I'm saving up for Breath of the Wild 2 coming in November, September. I don't know. I'm making up random months in wrong order. So those I think would be my big games. And if I was an extra good kid, got good grades that year, I would get Mario Golf for the summer. That would be those would be my 4. Oh no! I'm sorry. I do need to throw in. I would for sure.
It had so much money.
Yeah, I'm gonna cut Mario Golf and replace that with Spelunky 2. Would be what I would be getting. Spelunky 2 is a must buy for me. I would have to.
Mario
Plus,
Golf.
it's only like 15 or 20.
Yeah, I think my like realistically, my mom would buy me that before any of those other games, just because. So here's a spin to this question: is when I was a kid, we didn't have $15 games except for the bargain bin, and I guess my mom did buy a bunch of those. You know, like the Disney Universe.
Desert Storm for $7, and I love that game actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
For the GameCube, don't know if anyone's played that or even heard of it.
But we were never looking
Desert
forward.
Storm.
That's a great game. That is a great game. Hidden gem on the GameCube. The we were never looking forward to a $15 game. Like that was never the case. That was you bought it when you went to the store and you went to the bargain bin and were like, "Hey, that looks interesting." So those are my answers. I'm giving Pokemon Snap. I got Mario 3D World, maybe Mario Golf, Spelunky 2, and Breath of the Wild. Yep. Who wants to take the
Pretty
question
good.
next? You want to go, Micah?
Yeah, I mean, I don't actually have to imagine too hard because this is essentially my situation right now. So the the only thing I've got this year so far, unless I'm forgetting something, is Valheim. And I've been budgeting because I knew Pokemon Snap would be coming out, and I'd probably be getting that. The new Pokemon Legends looks interesting.
That's next
Depending,
year. That's next year.
is that next year?
Yeah.
Okay, I can remember. Um,
That's future Micah's problem. Paying
yeah,
for that one.
I'm still budgeting for Metroid Prime 4 when it comes out in 3 to 7 years. But yeah, I mean, I'll probably be getting Spelunky 2 as well.
That's
I
also
haven't
next year.
Is that next year? I thought that
And
was
Spelunky
this
2,
summer.
you're talking 3?
What?
Spelunky 3?
I've never even heard of Spelunky 3.
I'm sorry.
Ah,
Splatoon. I'm like my brain.
Oh, no.
My
Oh, I'm
brain.
so confused.
Oh my gosh. I'm like my brain said Splatoon, but you said Spelunky. I mean,
I was like, is this a dad joke?
this
Am
is
I missing
no.
something?
This is just a dad brain, like an old man brain that only listens to the first syllable of a word.
Yeah, and then I'm saving up just in case there's, like Andrew said, that big ticket holiday game. Depending on how well my internship that I hopefully get pays, I might also be picking up some Mario Golf, which really surprised me that the trailer for that game just looked like a blast. Especially like the rush mode or whatever it was called.
Yeah. All right, Bill. What's your budget list?
Monster Hunter Rise, absolutely. Mario Golf Super Rush. That game looks like fire, and I remember fondly playing hours of Mario Golf on the GameCube. It was a travesty that we never got Mario Golf on the Wii, and I don't think we got it on the Wii U either. It was on the 3DS instead. So what the hell, Nintendo? Oops, sorry. We've been waiting a long time for a console Mario Golf. So there's my second one. And my third one, I was just looking at the games that are coming out this year. Shoot, I had it and I scrolled away. Oh, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. I can't wait for
How
that
could I
game.
forget that? Oh no.
Well, you were too busy thinking about Spelunky and you
Yeah.
didn't think about Shredder's Revenge, so now Shredder's going to kill you.
Yeah.
So, I can't wait for that game. Everything that they've shown off about that game looks incredibly fantastic. And I love the animation as the characters are running, like each turtle has a different like gait as they are moving as they locomote across the screen or whatever. It's fantastic. And I've always been a Donatello guy. Like he's a
Yeah.
scientist. I like science.
Ooh,
He's got
Michelangelo.
he's got the stick to beat people with, but I'm switching to Mikey this time because
Oh yeah,
Mikey runs like
his
a
run is so good.
he looks like a maniac. It looks awesome. I can't wait to play that game. So those are my other ones. But I'm gonna cheat, and I'm gonna also tell people something that they should buy right now because it's super super cheap. There's two games you can buy right now that are super cheap. Limbo is $2 on the Nintendo Switch right now. It's awesome. It's weird. You're gonna like it. And then Rogue Legacy is only $5 right now. And if you've never played either of those games, you are missing out on some really, really cool and very different side scroller stuff. They're very different kind of games. Like Rogue Legacy is obviously a roguelike, and then Limbo is this really dark fantasy about like this kid who's lost by themselves and you have to like solve puzzles and stuff and giant spiders try and kill you. It's really cool, and they're both super cheap. So,
Yeah.
April
Great game.
26th. When's this episode coming out?
This comes out on the
Monday?
Monday, so that would be the 26th. Yeah.
26th?
Okay, so Rogue Legacy is on sale until the 26th. So check and see if it's still there. And Limbo is also on sale until the 26th. So hopefully they're still on sale at that point.
Yeah. So you might have missed it, but if you listen to this live, or not live, but on release, you'll have a chance.
There you
I'll
go.
definitely, I'll
Gotta
post
release
that.
a little 1-minute TikTok clip.
Oh yeah, yes, I can do that.
Cool. I'll be on TikTok after all.
Yeah, I can put you
You'll
on
be
there.
famous.
Awesome. Great answer. Okay, so now speaking of great games, on the cheap, Valheim. You've been playing Valheim, and we have been on pause. Micah's graphics card got fried somehow,
Died.
so he has not been.
Bad timing.
Yeah, right in the middle of our we're playing through it. We just got what was the material we just went and harvested forever?
It's like scrap iron.
Scrap iron. Yeah.
You guys got to the swamp.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're just now getting to the point where we can craft iron.
Yeah, that's where I am too. I'm right in
Okay.
that same area. God, this game needs to come to every damn platform and be cross-play everywhere so everybody can play it together. It's so good.
Yes, it is so good. This graphically, I think it could work on the Switch. It's not like a super high resolution PC game. The character model itself is like, for sure, a Switch, a polygonal, but the world on its highest settings is gorgeous, but on low settings it still looks really nice. Yeah,
It's a really pretty game. If you look at screenshots of it, you would say, "What are you talking about? That's not a very good-looking game." But when you are playing it, the way that the world moves in response to like the wind and stuff like that is so well done. And I personally love the aesthetic that, like, this is not a choice that they went with because like their art team sucks or anything. This is clearly a design choice that they made from like an art direction standpoint. And it is one of the best games that I have played in many years. It is amazing. So addictive too. It's very dangerous. Like,
Oh yeah.
you sit down to play that game at 10 o'clock and it's 3 a.m. and you're like, oh my God.
yeah,
What happened?
yeah. That's straight up happened to
it's a
us like
time
3
machine.
times. Yeah, it is. And you're like, okay, well, I think I've played it. And you turn and look at the clock, and you're like, whoa! It's the longing effect, you know. It's 1
I
second.
will
is
say,
12
Micah, that the game is available on GeForce Now, and you can play GeForce Now for free. Like, you have to wait in line, and you can only play for an hour before it kicks you out. But you can play it on GeForce Now for free.
Oh, cool.
So if your graphics card died, you can still play it.
I know in graphics cards right now,
Crazy expensive.
those are pricey.
And impossible to find. Thanks, Bitcoin
Yeah.
miners.
Yeah. Mine that I got for like 100 and something bucks, which was like a slightly older, it wasn't the latest and greatest. It's now like $700. Like, my goodness, I should be selling that.
My one that died that I got like 6 or 7 years ago for $350 now sells for $400 used on eBay. So
Dang. Yeah, so Valheim is fantastic. I heartily agree with everything Bill said. One of the greatest games I've played in a long time.
just definitely don't take all of your good stuff into the ocean just in case you die. It can be very difficult to get.
I did a stream and I was playing Valheim and I was on a boat, and this was my first time on a boat, right? I'm going, I'm doing my biking thing, and I'm figuring out how to put the sail where it goes, and I'm having a blast, and then a serpent comes out of the water and is attacking me. And I was like, I'm going to shoot him with my bow, and I'm trying to shoot him with my crappy bow, and he's killing me. And I was like, okay, I better run. Like, chat was like, run, run, run. So I was like, okay, I'm going to run. So I turned the sail into the wind, and it took me away. And that's actually how I found the swamp. I had gone everywhere looking for the swamp, and I found it by accident. So I sail across, And I get to the shore, and I had escaped the serpent, and I had seen the swamp, and I'm like, okay, I got to build like a little area so I have a staging area to go to. And somebody goes, oh, your boat will like move if you don't like destroy it to take the stuff with you. And I was like, oh, okay. So I pull out my hammer, and I couldn't destroy. You can't destroy the boat with the hammer or whatever. And so they were like, no, you just got to hit it with your axe. So I get it out,
times.
well, no, because the sea serpent had done so much damage to it. It's like it doesn't have a health bar that you can see. I walked up, I hit it with the axe once, and it broke.
Oh
goodness.
my goodness!
It's like that close to death.
Oh yeah.
That's the kind. Like, listen, listeners, if you haven't played this game, you have got to find a way to play this game. It's so amazing. I can't wait till it comes to consoles because I hate WASD and a mouse.
Yeah, I'm playing it with an Xbox controller but even that, I haven't figured out all the buttons to throw items. I have to go to the mouse.
I don't know how to remove things from the inventory.
It's not quite there, but it's
Yeah, it's not done cooking, but it's an early access, and it's a small team. I think they got like 6 people.
Yeah, it's
so
impressive.
it does remind me. Micah and I got in on Risk of Rain 2, which was in early access on the Switch for a long time. So I don't think Valheim has to be done. And first off, it's an early access game. It's done. Like it's not really missing anything. You're not gonna glitch into stuff. It's not Cyberpunk. It's not. You know what I'm saying? It's not. It's very polished for being an early access.
Absolutely. The only thing that really that I don't like about it is the controller inputs. Like that's the only thing. That's why I play with mouse and keyboard, is because they didn't figure out how to deal with controllers the right way. And I think that they just need time to figure that out.
Yeah.
But like I said, they're such a small team. I worry that they'll never have enough like support to bring it to other platforms because they're so small. You know what I would wish? I would wish that each platform, Nintendo, Xbox, Sony, and Stadia, would all say, "Hey, you know what? We're going to send a team of engineers to the Valheim team, and we're going to port your game for you, so that everybody can play it, because everybody should play that game. It's amazing."
Yes, and it's sold really well for an early access PC game, like extremely well. I think consoles are going to want that for sure. Well, so in an effort to keep things moving for time, we have another question here from $2 Hero. He says, I'll never forget how much I disliked Dark Souls the first time I played it. I went back years later and something just clicked. Now it's one of my favorite series. Have you ever had a game or genre of game that you initially disliked but came back to later and enjoyed it? Micah, you want to take this one first?
Yeah, I feel like not so much. The biggest thing recently was Exit the Gungeon, but that's just because I was so hyped from Enter the Gungeon and had such high expectations. But yeah, I've been really enjoying it this last week.
Nice. Bill, you looked like you were about to answer. Sorry.
That's okay. $2 Hero, I refer you back to the What You Been Playing segment of the podcast, because that's exactly how I felt about Monster Hunter.
Nice. Yeah, Monster Hunter, it has been that one for a lot of people, I think. I'm going to say Skyrim. I originally played Skyrim. I didn't think it was bad, but I just couldn't get into it. And once I got it on Switch, I played so much of that game. It quickly took 80 hours out of. I had quickly put 80 hours into it over the course of like 3 weeks, and it was like, wow, I played a lot of this game. That's like all I was playing. So that's that for me exactly, because I tried on multiple times and multiple previous consoles, because that game's been re-released like 8 times, you know.
Bought all of them.
Yeah. I played it on Xbox 360, and I was like, yeah, this is it's good, but I just couldn't get into it. But man, I loved it, and I can't recommend the Switch port of it enough because of the portability, and I thought it looked really good. I mean, it's an old game, so it looks fine on Switch. Yeah. Thank you for the question, Seth, $2 Hero, our buddy from All In Podcast. So go check them out. And next question comes. So this next question is specifically for you, Bill. This is from Solo Something. He says, "Is Pac-Man in the background that mysteriously moves around behind Bill a silent warning to all to beware those who test him in Super Smash, for it will not end well?"
Well, it won't end well for me. I am not. I'm not like Micah. I'm not good at video games. But I don't let that stop me. I just play them anyway. I love playing games, but I'm not good at them. And it's funny that you say that, Solo, because Pac-Man is my character in Smash, but not because I'm good with him. I like Pac-Man because he is weird. Like you hold down the button and you switch between throwing fruit or a key or a bell, or you can throw a fire extinguisher, or you hit people with ghosts. His move set is bizarre, but he's just so much fun to play. So and I also just love Pac-Man. I think it's my favorite arcade game. As you can tell, like here's a little, like right here for the people that will watching on the YouTube channel, I got like a Pac-Man arcade cabinet here with a Pac-Man amiibo standing on top of it. There's a Pac-Man sign right there. And then the light up Pac-Man's coming onto screen as the camera moves in a minute. Like I love Pac-Man. Pac-Man's fantastic. It's just so fun. Pac-Man 99 also. Yay, play that.
Yes. Uh, and then Solo asks a second question. He says, "Bill, do Bill's students ever ask him for gaming advice or tips after class for games they are stuck on?"
No. We tend to really like I tend to work when I'm at work. So we're really focusing, and a couple of my students have like they found out that I have a YouTube channel and a podcast and stuff like that. But most of them just like they don't care. Anything that an adult does is kind of dumb and unimpressive. That's their job. Their job is to be unimpressed by anything that an adult does. So they don't tend to ask me about that stuff. There are a couple of kids that are like, "Hey, um, did you hear about this game?" And I'll say, "Oh, you know what? Let's focus on our work, and we can talk about it between classes if you want." And usually they just say, "Oh, okay," and then we never talk about it between classes because the bell rang and they got to go to their next class. But I tend to really focus on work at work.
I remember a family friend. So when I was real young, I guess not that young. I'm like when did the Wii come out? Oh,
I
that's
don't know. I stood outside in the cold for it though.
2000 something.
early 2000s. I remember. So I must have been like teenagery age at that point. I remember having a teacher like figure that talked to that somehow we got to talking about Wii Sports and Wii Sports Resort, and he was like, "Hey, have you figured out the secret strike?" And we're like, "The secret strike?" And he goes, "Yeah. So if you bowl on the across the bumper, it'll
Yeah.
knock all the pins down." And he um he showed us how to do it. And we're like, "What?" And I will always remember that experience because it's like what a cool thing to connect with younger folks. I definitely in my adult life have done that same thing. There was a point in early college where I volunteered at an elementary school, and the kids there all played like I was a recess assistant. Okay, so they had like a room where kids could go inside and play different games and activities. And they on Fridays brought their Pokemon cards. So the next week, I fished out my old Pokemon cards, and man, let me tell you, it made me feel like an old man bringing those in. And they're like, "Whoa, these are ancient Pokemon cards! Like, why, what?" And they're pulling them out, and they're like, "This is so old. Like, this is like what a first. This is like the first Charmander card." It's, it cracked me up. It's a fun way to connect generations. I think Nintendo has a way of doing that that's really cool. And this question just got me thinking about those times.
Yeah,
So,
usually those kind of conversations will end up happening very closer to the end of the year, when we've gotten a lot of our work done.
yeah.
And so we will have those conversations a little bit more at that point. But most of the time, I'm just like, all right, we got to stay focused because I got a million things to teach him about astronomy, and I have 500,000 uh, things worth of time to do it in.
And that's why, yeah, you guys, you're a saint for doing that kind of stuff. So it's awesome. Um, okay, so another question for you, Bill, from Hambone Johnny. He says, "Are there any games that you learned about from friends on 143 pixels, 143 pixels, that you've never played before, but you went and tried after the show?"
So, no, but not. So really, like I've had people come on the show, and so just so people know what 143 pixels is, I interview one person about one game that they love, and that is the only requirement about the show, is that it has to be a game that the person adores and can talk about endlessly. And everybody has at least one of those. And almost invariably, the people who've come on to talk about those games, have talked about some really interesting sounding games that I've never played. But I always have so many new games to play. I never have time to go back and play all of these old games. Like I had, um, Jeff Kanata came on, and we were talking about Ultima 8. And I never played Ultima 7, sorry. And I never played Ultima 7, but like everything that he said about it made me want to play it. But I just never have time to grab those games. And that happened almost every time somebody came on the show and talked about a game that I had not played. It made me really excited to try it out. I just never have time. And that's the email that I usually get is, this show costs me too much money, because people end up listening, and like every episode is like an impassioned plea that everybody plays this one game. And so everybody's like, "Oh man, that sounds fantastic. I'm going to have to buy that game."
Yep, and it's it's definitely a problem. I've found that as I've been involved in more of the podcasting communities and interacting with other content creators, dang it, I'm spending a lot more money on this stuff than I used to. But it's fun. It's fun. I think that as someone who hosts a show like that, you kind of have to. You can't. There's no way you could play. You kind of have to let those go by because there's no way you could cover all that.
And a lot of them are games of the time. So people will have a lot of nostalgia for a game that they played when they were younger. So those games are hard, like they might be hard to actually play. Like I'm sure that I could probably get a copy of Ultima 7 running, but it would probably be more work than it's worth to me. Sorry, Jeff. I
And
don't want.
it's probably there's a lot of games where it's like some games are timeless and they age well, but other ones it's like you're not going to get the maximum effect that they're describing unless you were there playing it when it launched. You know.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I had David Brevik on the show. He's the guy that created Diablo. and he, like, we were talking about EverQuest. He was, and I played EverQuest too. So this was one that where I could definitely relate to everything that he was talking about. And he talked about EverQuest. And as we were talking about that game, like there was this click in my head where I was saying all of these things that he and I were describing would not be fun for people. Like we were like, oh man. And then when like you couldn't see in the dark, it was so like it was black pea soup. You couldn't see where you were going. And you know, when you got killed, you lost levels and your corpse stayed behind with all of your stuff. And like as I described this to people, they're like, well, that doesn't sound fun. That sounds horrible and punishing. And we're like, yeah, it was great. It's so weird. So, like, there's definitely games that are of their time, and you can't really go back and enjoy them. Of course, I'm sure that there's people who listen to this and they're like, I played EverQuest. It's awesome. I still play it today. You're crazy because games have gotten better. But man, at the time, it was amazing.
Mike, I gotta ask, do you have a game in your bucket of games that you would admit was this was in its time that I can't really recommend it now, but I love?
Well, I actually there's one game on the Sega Genesis, and I don't even remember what it was called. You're like some spark plug or something. I don't remember, but
Mm.
I remember
I gotta
loving the
Google
game,
this.
and like it was one of my favorite Sega games. And I went back like 10 years later, and I literally couldn't even understand what was happening on the screen. Like I was losing myself in the background just all the time, and it was unplayable. And I was like, how did I love this game so much?
The what you're describing is the original Mario Kart for me on Super Nintendo. I played the crap out of that game back when it was the only Mario Kart game, and I went back to play that a number of years ago and was like, I can't do it. It's nauseating. First off, because it's like it's not real 3D. It's gosh, it was so hard. I'm
The
like,
same
how did
thing happened
how
with Diddy Kong Racing.
Yeah,
Like,
yes, yeah. I felt that with Diddy Kong Racing. Yep. And then we have our last question here is a follow up from Hambone Johnny. So he says, has he, mean Bill, been able to find more time for gaming with his show down to one episode per week? And I'm assuming that's talking about SwitchCraft. I went back because I discovered SwitchCraft kind of old, or not old, newer episodes. Um, and I went back and listened to some of your first SwitchCraft episodes, and you say like, yeah, we're gonna be doing this a couple times a week, and I was like, wait, does he record this multiple? I went to the new stuff and was like looking like, have I been missing an episode every week?
Uh,
I thought
so
that was funny.
when the show first well, okay, when I first decided to make Switchcraft, I was already doing another podcast called Run Jump Stomp, and it was me and my friend Richard, and we would just talk about general gaming stuff. But then Nintendo announced the Switch, and I said, oh, that looks really cool. I think that this is going to be a big thing. I want to make a show that's just about that because I didn't want to fill up the general gaming podcast with Nintendo stuff all the time. So I said, all right, well, I'm just gonna I'll record it, and so I did like I don't know, it was like 9 episodes, and on episode 9, like I was trying to like write a script and like do everything ahead of time. I just didn't have time for it, and so I said, all right, I'm done with this, and I stopped recording it. And then the Switch actually came out, and I was really excited to talk about it. But again, I didn't want to fill up Run Jump Stomp with all of the Nintendo stuff all the time. So I said, all right, I'm going to bring back SwitchCraft. But instead of doing all of the work of writing everything out ahead of time and meticulously editing stuff, the show, like you probably, it seems like you listened to this episode where I said this show is going to be 100% off the top of my head. I'll
Yeah.
do it 3 times a week, and it's just stream of consciousness, no real editing. And so that's basically what when I started doing Switchcraft 3 times a week, and I did it 3 times a week until basically until the pandemic destroyed Nintendo news. Like there was nothing to talk about. So I was like, am I putting out an episode just so people can listen to me say there's really not much to say? And so I said, I'll just bring it down to one episode a week until the news picks up. And still I feel like I can get the show done in one episode a week. And as soon as we get to a point where I can't get the show done in one episode a week, then I'll bring back more episodes. But to answer his question, do I have more time for gaming now? You'd think that I would, but somehow, because I do YouTube stuff now, video editing is so much more time consuming
Oh,
than
100%.
than editing audio. So like I spend a lot more time editing video than I did in the past. But to me, it's also more interesting to edit video. Like I have more options to do cool things. Not that I'm like a great video editor or anything, but I get to learn a new skill basically. And that like, so I don't get to play games as much as I'd like. But then again, I have the opportunity to play games, and sometimes I just decide to talk about them instead because I kind of really like talking about the gaming industry as a whole more than I like actually sitting down and playing the games. I like playing the games too, but I like the discussion more than that.
That is a good point. I definitely that's yeah, cool insight on the inner workings of Run Jump Stomp. I don't know what is that. Is Run Jump Stomp still your like brand that you're kind of going with, or are you going more like? Is it more general than that, or you go just off your specific channels?
Um, well, okay, so the first well, okay, I'm not going to go into like the whole history of it, but the
I know
first
we need a full other episode to
yeah.
cover to
The
cover
first
good history.
podcast that I did was called Arcatan's Arcade because that was like my moniker online. Like when I played video games, my name was Arcatan. But then I was like, that's stupid. Nobody's going to know how to spell it, so they're never going to be able to find it. So I'm not going to do Arcatan's Arcade. I'll call it Run, Jump, Stomp. Those are the three things that Mario does. He runs, he jumps, he stomps on things. That's easy to remember. And so like that was the name of the first show. And but these days, Run, Jump, Stomp is really just like that's how you find me on Twitter.
Oh,
If you're really
it's
looking for my stuff, it's NerdNest.
NerdNest. Yeah, that's why
Yeah,
I was like I'm blanking on the name. NerdNest is
yeah,
the way to find Bill nowadays. Well,
yeah.
this is a perfect opportunity for you to since we're wrapping up here, you want to plug your stuff, plug your show for our audience. I know we have a lot of fans already, but there's quite a few listeners that probably haven't heard your stuff before. So where can they find you?
You can if you're looking for just Nintendo news, then check out Nintendo SwitchCraft wherever podcasts are downloaded. If you want to find out about games that people love, that's 143 pixels. If you're interested in video games that are streaming from Google's cloud servers, then that would be StadiaCast, and you can find all of that stuff together over at nerdnest.tv.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Bill. We really appreciate that. If you would like to follow us, find our stuff, we are at Nintendo Pals Podcast on Instagram, TikTok, at Nintendo Pals on Twitter, and you can find us in podcast feeds everywhere. And we are just Nintendo. We don't have a Stadia Pals yet. Um, maybe in the works. It's not, but Nintendo Pals is what you can look up to find us. And hop on over and join our Discord community where we have a great group of Nintendo fans that are playing all sorts of games. You're looking for a group to play The Longing with, we got you covered. And let's see. Special thanks to VGR for the theme song we use for our podcast. You can check out his stuff. Links are in the description of the podcast. And links to all of the aforementioned shows, including Bill's stuff, will be in the description of the podcast or video, depending on where you're watching. Please leave us a subscription, 5-star review. Well, I do have to pause here and say we got a 5-star review recently that that I just saw just showed up, and I was blown away by how nice this was. I've got it pulled up here. I'm just gonna I'll give like the Reader's Digest version. He says this is an outstanding program. The friendship between the hosts adds some humor that makes you feel like you're enjoying the moment with them and not just a third party watching people talk. I truly hope you listen to this show as it's family friendly and just the right amount of time, that it's not too long but not too short. And really appreciate that from Frontal Distortion. Thank you so much for that review. I was blown away by that. Yeah, so hop on over and give us a 5-star review. It really helps us get seen. We're moving up on the stuff. Soon we'll catch up with Bill and SwitchCraft, one of the top Nintendo podcasts. And your Stadia cast is like the top Stadia podcast, if I'm recalling correctly. And when I search, that's what I find at the top. So
yeah, we lucked out. Google called and said, "Can we be on your show?" Which was the weirdest friggin' thing in the world. So that's the reason. It was all because Google came on. It was weird. But then, yeah.
I mean,
Google.
when you're making a podcast that's positive towards their service, I think the algorithm may be skewed. It's because...
a little.
All right, kid. You guys are doing great work over there.
Thanks.
And that about wraps up our show. So we will leave with a closing remark by Bill.
Not a square hole.
Thanks for listening, y'all.